Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been a week. It's always a week, but this has been another week. 7 days, a few hours, more minutes, more seconds, whatever you want to call it. But we are back here with the Whisky Roundtable with more numbers than last week, but still not a full gamut of people to dissect the week of whiskey, to take it apart, put it back together, not necessarily in the correct order or in the right way. My name is Scott Fitzsimons, and once again, the burden falls upon me to introduce these lovable idiots we have here on the round table. A constant, my guest from last week, my co-host Alex Dahlenburg from Whisky Culture, is feeling 110% tonight to get the ball rolling off with a few whiskies. We don't know what she's going to be swigging from tonight, but we did see finally that Jack Daniels sent her a bottle midweek, so that is a development. Matt Bailey was missing last week. We don't know where he was. We don't know who he is. He's still got a rubbish haircut, but he's back here with all the gear to take us through tonight. But with some very big news, it's been a big week with the champs, the whiskey champs selling quicker than they ever have before in this week.
Yeah, it has sold out.
Sold out. There we go. You heard it here first. It's done. Missed out. Too bad. Tough shit. See you later. We are still asking the question of where's Milne. We saw sightings of him during the week. He was down in Tassie on a boys trip, a boys trip that went around the state. Boys, we don't know where he is tonight, but he's not here. So the hashtag Where's Milne will still ring out. But most importantly and most pivotally, we have Kristy Lark-Booth from the Killara Distillery joining us in what must be a highlight of her whiskey life, having spent most of her life around a whiskey. It's all been leading to this. So let's fire up the tractor and pull this one away by asking everyone, whether you're sitting here on the Brady Bunch stream or watching on the chat, what is in your glass tonight, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, wow. I'm actually starting with a beer. And this one might actually wipe me out. It's one of those ridiculous Belgian strong ale things. It's a boat rocker, Sturken Donker, it says on the can. It's a ex-whiskey barrel-aged beer. So
delicious.
Why not?
I better put mine actually in a glass. But I am, because of our guest of honor tonight, I was actually last week too, but drinking the Killara KD13, which is ex-Tawny.
Woohoo. It's also what I have too.
It's almost like you two planned this. I am joining Matt Bailey in the starting off with the undistilled beer, as the undistilled whiskey portion of it, with a beer with a Hawker's Hazy Pale, which is new. That's not bad. But again, with the wine glass, the only way to drink beer. G'day to everyone who is tuning in, to John Jarvis, to David and or Caroline Taylor. Whiskey is my jam. Vicky Dahlenburg has missed every week. G'day, Mum. Jimmy Finnegan is coming on here. We've got a few more people from around the world as well, and we have a few of this. So Lee White said g'day. Mark Westmoreland, the big daddy of the stream from Wolfburn, says, good to see you all. Where's Puddles? Puddles obviously being the official title for Milne. Lee White's come up with another sort of aspect of this, maybe hashtag replace Milne. I think that's a big call. It's a big call. Who do we have here? Who do we have here? We have, where is Milne? We don't know where he is, but for a table full of Pappy Van Winkle whiskies, don't rate him. I can't hear you. That's not how you spell here either, that you've used the wrong here. But I'm loving your single, your wonderful face. Sorry I can't be there, Kristy. Give Matt lots of shit for me. Mate, if you can't spell here, then you need to come back here. But more importantly than that, also quick g'day to Dave Worthington from deepest mid Bedfordshire, which I also could probably describe as coldest Bedfordshire. Andy Young from Seppeltsfield, the god of cooperages. And Dave Pearce from 5 Distillery tuning in as well. Dave Worthington, who jumps back in there. What is he pouring? He's pouring his boutique Killara, which in my opinion, I've actually tried them bottled, but when I tried car samples a few months ago before they were in bottle, Killara was in my top two releases. I have a top 3, but that was in my top 2. So a very good dram. It's good to have so many people with us tonight from all over the world. Alex, do you want to kick this one off and introduce our guest a little bit more? Maybe ask a couple of questions?
Right-o. So big fan girl of the lovely Kristy. Very lucky to now recently have had dinner with her 3 times in the last 4 weeks across 3 different states. But let's kick it off. Kristy, where are you from? What distillery do you have? And let's make a hard question. What's your favourite whiskey from another country?
Favorite whiskey from another country. I really like the Glenfiddich Solera. I know it's very, I don't know, standard maybe, but I really like it. I like it.
Very good.
I also have a really good memory of it where Dad and I went to Scotland in 2005 and I got to sit on top of the vat and drink it straight from the Solero vat out of a 1 litre plastic jug. So was the highlight of my trip. It was awesome.
Wonderful. All right.
It tastes better in plastic. I've long said that.
Yeah.
So for those listening and playing at home, tell us about you and your family.
Me and my family, oh man, we're crazy. So my parents,
basically, who's your dad? Who's your dad, Kristy?
No, not just my dad, my mum as well.
Your mum as well.
My parents are on Lynn Lark. They started Lark Distillery back in 1992 in our family house. So I grew up in the first licensed distillery in Virginia for over 150 years. I had a still outside my bedroom door for a number of years, and I'm actually back. This is the house. Like, I'm actually living in there now. So, yeah. Grew up with that. I worked for my parents in their cellar door for a number of years. Didn't necessarily want to do that. Wanted to do air traffic control. But then decided to go down the path of the distillery, learnt distilling whiskey from Dad, liqueur and gin making from Mum, the GM there for a while, was the head distiller there for a while first, and then the GM. Then sadly, when Lark got taken over and the family got kicked out, I got made redundant. I decided to start Killara. So I did that.
And that's what all the hype's about right now.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear all about Killara right now. I know that, Matt, you've been there, correct? Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Where is Killara based now?
So Killara was originally set up in a small industrial area north of Hobart, which was rubbish. And although the industrial vibe is awesome for some distilleries, was never the long-term plan for Killara. I always wanted the land. So now we've bought 26 acres out in the Coal Valley area near Richmond in Tasmania. I've just finished building a new production site and small cellar door. I've got a new barrel bond store going in shortly and a new tasting room going in shortly as well, with plans to grow all the botanicals for my gins and liqueurs on site. Also barley, whiskey, a vineyard to make brandy, and I've even thrown some oak trees in to grow my own barrels.
Oof.
One-stop shop.
The perfume field as well.
Yes. So my mum, who's moved away from distilling alcohol, is moving into distilling perfume and has planted a whole bunch of old variety special roses that are used in perfume distillation.
Loves her flowers. I love that.
Also, this might be a bit of a side note, but for those who maybe haven't done too much distilling in their life or blending, some of the best blenders point to the old perfumery books from 100, 200, 300 years ago, because the people doing that knew what they were doing.
They did.
It's no surprise that, like, the fairy godmother of whiskey distilling in Australia is also into perfumes. This is my not surprised face happening right now.
Yeah, so she's so into it. It's great. She goes out there and she lovingly tends to her rose patch, and she's been over to France and done the perfume courses, and she's rocking it.
Yeah, and when I was out there, the rose garden's actually covered in like scaffold fencing. So what is it, the bandicoots or something like that can't get to the rabbits?
Keep the rabbits and the hares and the wallabies out
until they get big enough.
Yeah, although they're thorny mofos, so I don't know.
That doesn't count as a swear word. Hold your shots for those playing at home.
I haven't sworn yet.
That's why I said a word came up, but it wasn't a swear word. So in case.
Soon. It'll come. It'll come.
It always happens.
All right. I believe that you've had a wonderful life outside of whiskey too.
I've done a few different things, things that surprise people. I've represented Australia in swimming, which is something that not many people know, but now a whole lot of you do.
Swimming?
Yeah. It's called fin swimming, but
there we go.
More likely known as mermaid swimming or whatever. It's where you use the big mono fin where your feet are sort of stuck and you swim like a mermaid. Anyway, yeah, so I've represented Australia in that and done pretty well. I've won a few medals and stuff that my kids like to play around with. Yes,
Question. Okay, let's row back on this a little bit. So, are we in?
No. Let's mermaid back on this.
Yeah, let's paddle back on this. Are we in pools or in like bodies of water, or and how long do these races tend to be?
So they're standard, mostly in pools. I've done a few. Done the Trans Derwent, which the Derwent River runs, through Hobart. I've done that as part of the regatta, but most of it's been in pools. So it's your standard 50, 100, 200, 400, 1500. So my ones were either the really short ones, so 50 meters, or the really long ones, so 8 or 1500 meters.
Wow.
Right. So there's still elements of like explosive,
Yep.
and endurance elements.
Yep.
At this point, I would like to point to my co-hosts here, Alex and Matthew. I've turned this into a sports podcast. You didn't. I knew you would.
I knew this would happen.
I set you up for that one, didn't I?
Yep. I have a question about the distillery. How long has Killara been going, and how big is the team? Team of one, team of two, team of 500?
500, man. We've got at least 500 bugs in there. I don't know. There's
I didn't say roles that you did. I said people.
Okay, so there's me, and up until just recently, I've been doing everything from the distilling to the labeling to the floor sweeping to everything. I've just hired a lovely lady, Fiona. She comes in a couple of days a week to help with bottling and labeling, and she's ace at that. And she's good. She's precise because I take after my mum, and if you don't do it right the first time, you get to take it off and do it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's great. And yeah, my hubby comes out and helps out with stuff as well. He likes to mow the lawns and move barrels around and stuff. The kids come out. Lockie likes to help label.
That's free labor, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Want to say a quick day to some other people sitting in the room, to Crafty Field, to Robbie Tucknott, who says 2 of his favourite humans are on this stream. Matt Bailey, you and I, we've done it again there. I think that's pretty good.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Pretty straightforward option, that one. Kathleen Davies from Nipper Courage, and congratulations, Nipper Courage Wholesale is just around the corner. Very excited about that. And someone who we haven't seen before, Ruthie Lark. Now, there is a bit of a tradition here where everyone except for myself's relatives get on this stream. Can we read into the last name Lark there at all, Kristy?
We're not 100% sure. We think that there may be some kind of weird family connection that is neither been confirmed nor denied. So we'll take it as being family.
Somewhere up in the genealogy chart it exists.
Yeah, not many people have our last name, so it's got to be somewhere.
Apparently there's someone that's called Alex Dahlenburg, and they live in New South Wales.
Oh, really?
Because all of my friends in hotels, when your room number calls an internal phone, like as in room service, it comes up with the name on the room. And I've had 3 friends call me going, Alex Dahlenburg, what fucking room are you? Sorry, I swore. What room are you staying in?
13 minutes. 13 minutes.
Is that how long it was?
13 minutes and 42 seconds. That's what it took you.
What room are you staying in? And I'm like, it's not me. So yeah, and that's an unusual last name as well.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your gins.
Yes.
Tell us about the gins.
So the Apothecary range was started back almost 5 years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago. Developed to be a lighter style, delicate sipping gin. Goes fantastic over ice with sliced strawberries or sliced green apples. Just a really light, delicate gin. I'm not a huge tonic fan, so I don't drink huge amounts of tonic. I get tonic fatigue, if that's a thing. And so I just really wanted something that I could drink on its own. And, well, when you're a distiller and you can do that kind of shit, it's what you do. So, yeah. And then the range sort of developed and shut up, John.
Shut up, John.
And And so yeah, it's sort of expanded out. But I do have one gin in the range that is definitely whiskey related. It's been matured in a ex-whiskey barrel for, well, it's not been really matured. It's rested in there for 7 weeks, and it's my absolute favorite gin of every gin in the whole entire world. And there are unconfirmed rumors that Joe and I drank a whole bottle the night that it first got bottled.
That's pretty much confirmed.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so here at Whisky Roundtable, we like to confirm rumours. So
It happened.
Yeah, I did.
Hard-hitting journalism strikes back.
I want to actually take that and drag it a little bit back, because a gin is obviously a product where if you're getting citrus notes, or like the flavor profile you get is because someone's thrown it in there. That they're meant to be quite prominent with neutral spirit. When you add it into a barrel, and there's a lot of barrel-aged gins around these days, a lot of whiskey barrel-aged gins, they can be pretty messy because you've got something that's designed to soften over time, and then like a gin that's sort of so vibrant at the start. Do you think that your sort of knowledge of whiskey barrels and how they mature by being around it and by filling your own over the past, 2 decades or whatever it's been, did that help influence, your knowledge of those barrels and how to use them, as opposed to just going and buying one off a distillery you didn't really know much about?
100%. Yes, let's go with that. Yeah, I know what flavors you get from the whiskey barrels, and the whiskey that came out of the barrel was particularly bloody good because it's the one that Alex and I are drinking tonight. And I really wanted to encapsulate something to go with that. So it just made sense that if I was going to do a short run of barrel-aged gin, that I would use that type of barrel. And then the reason it was only in there for 7 weeks is because I didn't want it to take on too much of those oak characteristics. I just wanted it to influence it slightly, which it does. It's given it a little bit of color. It picks up those oak and malt characteristics without overpowering the gin. It's still predominantly gin. And there we have some navy strength, which is
It's cute
awesome.
as fuck too. Look at the little bottle. It's really cute.
So yeah, the barrel aged gin is definitely a fantastic marriage of the two products while still being predominantly a gin.
And just on that, in terms of, because Killara is still very much in the formative years. You've been distilling for a while, but releases are very intermittent, and they're very small batches. For someone who maybe hasn't tried a Killara before, hasn't tried the new make, hasn't tried the finished product, how would you describe your whiskey to someone?
So my still, which I don't know, can I put photos up here and will it work if I hold it up to the camera? Can people see?
Yeah,
I mean, that
if you're watching the podcast, you won't be able to see it, but you can see it if you're watching the video.
Okay.
You've got Kristy standing next to some copper if you're watching the podcast. Listen to the podcast. Yep.
So my still is quite unique. It's different to a lot of other distilleries' equipment that you'll see. It doesn't have a nice neck with the swan, all the stuff going over the top, the line arm and the condenser at the side. Everything is on the top. It looks like a rocket ship. It is affectionately called my rocket ship. So I get asked all the time what its name is. It's rocket ship. And it's modelled off the 500 litre still that stood outside my bedroom door that I learnt to distill on. And both of those are in turn modelled off the 5 litre still that my mum purchased at an antique auction that kickstarted everything and used to be on our stovetop, but is now in my distillery.
I think I remember. Was that 5 litre still sitting in the cellar door at Lark for some time as well?
It's in the
no, it wasn't. It was. Yeah. It was. It's never been on display at Lark. There was a little alembic still on display at Lark, and that is mine also. But no, the 5 litre one. And my 600 litre still and the other 500 litre one. They're fantastic. The condenser is on the top, so there's a cone that sits above the pot of the still, and as the alcohol vapor goes up and hits that, it's got the cold water flowing around it, recondenses back into a liquid, drips down the sides and is collected, and then comes out the hose into the various containers. And that allows for a really, really low level of reflux, and it gives me a really rich, oily, spicy, really malty spirit, which then, when matured, retains a lot of that rich, oily maltiness and a bit of the spice as well.
Which basically answers Crafty's question.
Yep.
And that inspired the I guess the artwork for the boutique as well, being the rocket ship
Correct.
artwork and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of
And
cool.
then and the air traffic control tower and stuff, because
Yeah.
I did get into air traffic control school and I was going to go down that path, but
How many people get into that?
not very many. So there was 10 spots available when I applied, and about 3,000 people applied, and it was a 6-month process of going through online testing, interviews, psychoanalysis, more testing, more interviews, and at the end of the process I got one of those coveted 10 spots, but I handed it in.
And you told them to jam it.
Not quite, but yeah.
Jam it, I'm going to go make whiskey.
And I don't need an exact answer for this because it might be quite hard to quantify, but just roughly over like a 12-month period, how many hours did you spend on Flight Simulator to study for that?
Not very many.
No?
Is that the answer you were not expecting?
Only me? Okay.
No, look, there's a few flight games that I did play on, but it's the tests were they were really hard. Some of them were just phenomenally hard. Oh, sorry, my dog's trying to jump on my lap.
That's what we like to see.
So it was, I don't know. It's interesting, and I think it would have been a really interesting career path, but not nearly as fun as making whiskey.
Quick shout out to Nick Sutton here, because this always happens. I just ordered some of your barrel-aged gin, very excited. If anyone else wants to go to the Killara website and enter the code Whisky Roundtable at checkout, you will get eternal gratitude. Put it in order.
Yeah, you should have worked that out before. I have actually put some bottles of the Lafroig finish on the website.
No.
So there is... Oh, sorry, wait, ignore that.
No, I'm saying shh, because I need to at least get one before they all sell out.
Yeah, so there was 50 bottles at the start of the night available, and so the Lafroig finish is really cool. It's something I'm really proud of. It's whiskey that's been matured in a 20 barrel for 4 years, and then I was lucky enough to get hold of some Lafroig barrels, and so I finished it off in there for 12 weeks before bottling, and it's bottled at 53.3%. So it's a nice, good strength, and it retains some of those awesome Lafroig characteristics that you would expect from a peated whiskey.
It's delicious. Why I was on my phone, Matt Bailey, is because I used to play a lot of flight control.
Yeah.
And I think I've spent a lot of time on a flight control desk. Please note that many people died in this, and I did crash the plane a shitload. But when she said to me that she did this, I was like, I did too.
Great.
Do you remember the old school game? You used to just land the planes and then they'd get faster and faster?
Yeah. I did that. I did do that. It was a fun game.
A couple of comments coming through. Andy Young says, enjoying Killara whiskey from a 20-litre barrel. You're smashing it, Kristy. But a question is tying into what you said before from David and or Caroline Taylor. What made you think of finishing in a Lafroig cask? And I want to go one step further than that. So you've got your hands on this Lafroig cask. How do you choose the whiskey in your bond house, what you're going to put into it? Like, what sort of characteristics were you looking at?
So there was only had a few available 100-litre barrels at the time. So I sort of tasted them all, and I decided that the one that went into it would really benefit from having just a little bit of something else. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time to get my to get those Lafroig barrels. And there are a couple of other Tasmanian distilleries, John definitely not one, that got hold of them as well. And it was a really arduous task of having to test the whiskey every couple of days to see how it was going. And then I decided it was pretty good at 12 weeks. So, yeah.
Is that why there's not much?
Probably, yeah.
How many bottles in total of this wonderful whiskey?
So there was exactly 200 bottles in total. There was quite a lot of pre-sales through the cellar door. People that came through and did tours were lucky enough to get little pre-barrel samples or pre-bottling samples from the barrel, and so there was a lot of pre-orders from that. And so there's 50 bottles up on the website, and then I've still got I keep a few bottles. If my whiskey says sold out on the website, always contact me, because I always keep bottles available for the cellar door for people that come in there.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. She had no whiskey on her website yesterday, and just for the Whiskey Roundtable, she now has 50 bottles up.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't advertise for people to call you if something's sold out on your website.
No.
Email, because and if you do email me, don't expect a reply straight away, because it's just me doing everything. So I'm pretty I'm not the best person at replying, but I do always reply at some point. So
but it does happen.
it does.
Nick, you should have got the barrel-aged gin while you're there too. Head back to the website.
No, he already did. But Nick Sutton has just gone and bought Alex's Lefroy cask finished Killara, so that's all done and well.
Yeah.
Bailey, are you able to share photos then?
Yeah, I think I'm working it out. Sorry, I just couldn't before. You go ahead. I'll just work this out.
Yeah, cool. Well, I would just jump back a little bit. What you're talking about, your still, and I think this is quite a fascinating concept, because you grew up literally, with the still virtually in your living room, outside your bedroom door. And the way you were talking about your still, you definitely took some inspiration from the stills at Lark Distillery. Now, I'm pretty sure it's fair to say that a lot of distilleries in Australia have taken inspiration from Lark stills, and some might say less inspiration, less copy and paste, more copy and paste for Lark stills. Were you mindful of that, of designing a still that would, and to create a still, you're going to put your own stamp on it, and sort of, yes, I am who I am, but Killara is a very different beast to Lark in its all its eras.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, Lark is my history, it's my past, it's something that as a family we'll always be proud of achieving. It's just not in our present or in our future. And there was always that in mind when I started Killara, that I didn't want to go down the path of having the same stills. I really like the whiskey that style still produces. And so, I was really keen to have that still as my spirit still. Having said that, I have got a Peter Bailey still ordered, but don't look at me like that, Scott.
Well, I just assumed it was to a distillery in Tasmania without something with Peter Bailey written on it somewhere. I thought that was
You just got a finger. You just got the finger.
Don't look at me like that.
She just waved her finger side to side at you.
Yeah, I did, because when I approached Peter Bailey to make my wash still, my very first comment to him was that if he was going to make it for me, and I would love him to do that, it could not look like any other still he's made. I was very, very adamant about that. And that is why my still has taken a really long time to make, because I've sent back the neck because I wasn't happy with it, and they were very gracious about that, and they're remaking the neck because my still will have a very fat, short neck. It is going to be very curvy, it's very feminine, it's called Dorothy, and I can't wait to get her on board.
Damn.
Yep.
And so sorry, Matt.
No, I was just saying that there was, I think there was even some minor construction and alteration happening to that still when I was there. There was, there was a plumber looking at some of the piping, which was great.
Yep. So it's exciting, and it'll mean that I can increase my production from taking 3 days to produce 100 litres to 1 day to produce 100 litres. So I'm really excited about that as well.
And do we expect that to be in commission some point this year?
Yeah, definitely. I hope it's up and running in the next couple of months. I'd really like to. I've sort of been, the new building got finished in November last year, and I've been holding off having a big hooray grand opening type thing because I want that still installed before I do that, so that people can see how pretty it is.
I can't wait. I'll take that as an invitation.
Definitely.
So Matt, are we going to see these amazing photos and you're going to tell the story about them?
So I was
Kristy doesn't know what we're doing, by the way.
So I was talking to Susie, who's our manager at the office earlier today. And I said, "Oh, we've got Kristy on the roundtable tonight," and she said, "Oh, I haven't seen her since the Whisky Championships." I said, "Oh, I don't think she was at 2018 or 2016 champs." She goes, "No, 2008." And I said, "Oh yeah, she presented an award because of there was I think it was Lark had sponsored the champs that year." And I'm going to
see
and here we go.
Oh, I'm cringing already. Oh,
And there you are on the right, and
Yes.
presenting with an award to Craig Daniels, who won in 2008. There we go.
Oh my goodness.
Haven't aged a day, mate. Haven't aged a day.
Haven't aged a day.
Oh.
I had to dig through the archives of photos of the champs from previous decades, even to find it. I was like, oh my god! And I'd seen these photos before, and I never actually sort of put two and two together. But there you go.
Uh,
Girl, have you still got that corset?
yeah, I do.
I'm gonna borrow that.
I don't wear it anymore.
I'm gonna borrow that. That's hot.
I'll send it up to you.
Wow.
Hey, Bailey, how many years did Craig Daniels win in a row, or how many editions did he win in a row? Was it three?
He's
or
won
four?
three. He won 3 championships.
Right.
He's amazing.
He's a machine.
He just has just got this amazing retention for understanding and recognizing different malts instantly. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and we used to do a pre-list of like 50 whiskeys that might be in the championship, and he went out and bought them all so he could practice on them all. So he'd buy 50 bottles of whiskey every year for champs and practice on all those whiskeys.
That's amazing.
So he won in 2008, 13, and 14.
And
Yeah.
he's retired now, right?
He competed in 2018. He might compete in 2021. I'm not sure.
Is Brooke competing again?
No, she's not. She'll be that'll be around the same time she's giving birth, so she's a little bit busy.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
Indeed. Okay, we'll allow that.
Yeah, we'll allow that, and I think that gives Jules a whole pass as well. But he, the reigning champion will not be carrying over, so it gives everyone else a bit of a chance.
I want to say quick g'day to living legend in Scotch whisky, Gordon Dundas. Kristy, fabulously exciting with what's going on.
Hi, Gordon.
And as we say every week, Gordon, I'm sure that knighthood's in the mail. Just Royal Post is a bit slow at the moment, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. Want to ask a question to Kristy, because there has been some relatively good news this week in terms of taxation and excise and that sort of stuff. It's on our agenda tonight. We don't want to spend too much time on it. But a question came up from James. He missed a bit earlier, but how we discussed the recent small distillers tax relief. Now, Kristy, I would definitely consider Killara a small distillery. It's small by Australian standards, which makes it absolutely micro by world standards.
Yes.
The rebate limit's been lifted from 100 grand to 350 grand. To people who don't work in distilleries, is that going to be like actual? Will you see the benefits from that, or is it a little bit tokenistic?
No, it's fantastic. The benefits will be immediate, and from myself and what a lot of the other distilleries are doing is that money is going straight into employment. So there'll be more jobs available in the industry. It will be it'll mean that distillers, especially small ones like me, can put more money back into growing the distillery, so that in 5 years' time I can have more whiskey, because feeding those copper beasts is damn pricey. And so yeah, for me that means that I'll be able to employ Fiona more, and I'll be able to do more production, and they will be 2 instant effects for my business.
Excellent. And just in layman's terms, for people who may not have seen the news, essentially there's when you distill whiskey and you mature it, you put it in a bonded warehouse, just like you do with all spirits, and you don't pay excise on it until you remove it from that bonded warehouse. You were getting a rebate from the government up to $100,000 depending on your size, and that's now gone to 350. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the 100,000 was it wasn't a straight 100,000. It was so you got up to 100,000 back, but it was only on 60% of what you'd paid in excise. So you had to pay more in excise to actually get that 100,000 back. Whereas with the 350, it's a straight, your first $350,000 worth of excise, you get 100% rebate straight away.
And I think that's a hugely important factor, because it changes it being from you need to be of a certain size to really see the benefits, to everyone up to a certain size is going to see those benefits immediately, which is excellent.
Yeah, which is the small end of town, which is 90% of Australian Tasmanian distilleries. In fact, I remember presenting a paper in 2005 to the Scottish Worldwide Distilled Spirits Conference, which is run through the Institute of Brewing and Distilling. And I sat there listening to this someone talk about a new distillery that they were starting up in Scotland at the time. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about their annual output. And I worked out that their daily losses in evaporative Angel's share was at the time going to be greater than Lark's annual production of whiskey. So yeah, and like Lark is hugely bigger than me even back then. And so for a distillery to come in and be, you know, their evaporative losses was greater than our actual production shows people the size of the distilleries over there versus here.
It was actually it put into a focus recently with the Boutique Whisky Australian range, they've just released their first one, and I think the Blackgate annual production is about 3,000 or 4,000 litres, and they put in their notes that with this release we are accounting for 3 or 4% of their annual output in this one, 300 bottle release, and I think that was really interesting that they put it that way. Not so much to us, we know, but to the Europeans who are going to consume that, to be like, you think, Daft Miller's micro? Wait till you see what they're doing over in Australia.
Indeed.
Indeed.
And what was that? I tasted a whiskey literally last night, which was a Strathern. It was their first release of Strathern Distillery, and it says somewhere on the back label, and it said it's a small distillery. It's one of Scotland's smallest distilleries at just 90,000 litres a year. And it's like 90,000 litres. I think at the top of my head, I was like, that's still like more than double Lark. It's it's the smallest, still twice the size of Lark, even current day Lark. And it was sort of like one of those moments of, it's literally a shed on a hill in Scotland.
And that will be at least 10 times my annual production as well, at least 10 times.
Yeah. So if you're even coming close to 9,000, that's incredible. I mean, are you aiming for sort of that? Are you aiming for sort of?
I sort of it'll build up to that in the next 12 months. I'll probably be producing sort of around 5,000, and then I want to grow that each year. So the aim is to still
of gin and whiskey and everything, or
that's just whiskey.
That's whiskey. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I also do brandy, which I really, really like. So I've got some of that coming out later this year too. So it can be the whiskey and brandy round table chat.
We see a few brandies. We do see a few brandies out of Tassie, and I'm actually surprised we don't see more, given the industry that it is, and given the capacity for using wine. Yeah,
there's some really, really good wines down here. I was almost going to swear then, but I didn't.
Leave that to Alex. She's the foul mouth. It's fine.
There's some really shit hot wines down here, and when we can get hold of them, there's some really good. It makes really good brandy, and I think brandy is completely underrated, and I love it. If I'm going to go spirit at night and I've been drinking whiskey all day at work, brandy is usually my go-to at night. So,
and it's also, going back to the previous point, it's also lower in excise again.
It is, yes. Hooray!
It's funny. Like I've seen it here a little bit. Sullivan's Cove. To use the obvious example, I think James just pointed out in the chat there. Their whiskey you can't keep on the shelf. You maybe get 6 bottles a year. They're gone before I walk from the warehouse, which is only 30 meters away, to the shelf. They're gone. But the brandy sits around, and you can get. I remember St Agnes released a brandy called Bartender's Cut a couple of years ago. St Agnes is quite a big house, so they have the economies of scale. But it was about $79-85 for 45%, 700 mils, like 10-year-old brandy, and it's like. If you like this sort of stuff, like, why aren't you drinking this? So I think it's coming. It has to come in Australia. We make such good brandy. You look at Bass and Flinders, their stuff. What everyone's doing in small quantities. The quality's there.
I remember buying a bottle of that Bartender's Cut off you, Scotty, because you recommended it so highly when I came in. Yeah,
it was great. But it took me forever to move it. But there you go. Ryan Marshman comments in, unbelievable drink, and it's still available. So that's good.
And by the way, courtesy of Ryan, that's why he's the reason I'm drinking this Sturk and Donker. He sent me a can. Thank you, Ryan.
Great. Good. Gordon Dundas comments. 9,000 litres per annum, quality over quantity. Yes, and that's to meet the Strathern annual output. That's about 15, 16 years if you keep scaling up. So, you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, one day, Scotty.
Yeah, that's all right. John Jarvis, I love how you say drinking whiskey at work, not tasting whiskey.
Same difference.
Yeah, I think that's something close to John's heart there.
And don't we all know it if you've been in that distillery?
Yes.
That is for shit canning my flight simulator joke earlier. You know it was coming.
Deservedly so.
All right. Oh,
all right.
my gosh. Hi, Dom. Hi, Dominic.
Hi, Dominic.
Oh, Dom. Wow. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well.
For those on the podcast, it is Dom Roscoe that tuning in on the chat there. This is a nice conversation. Just, there's been a big buzz up here for the boutique Australian release, and that's great. They sold out almost instantly in Australia. But part of the deal was, I think, and Kristy, you might know a little bit better than me because you're part of it, is that it was also the allocation, all of it was not coming to Australia because it's about introducing the world and particularly Europe to the releases. So that's excellent to see that it's making a bit of buzz over there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I don't know exactly what the split was to Australia, but it was great that Australia did get some of it so that we can celebrate each other's achievements here. And then also that it goes to the rest of the world so that we can, put out there that Australia is making some awesome whiskey, which they already knew, but, this just highlights that even more.
Yeah, I think it's been a great thing.
It was about 50-50, pretty straight split, I think. So that's good.
Mm. All right, we're going to take it to Proust questions.
Take it away, Alex.
What? Take it away. Okay.
Take it away.
So Whiskey Proust is from Whiskey Ardent's questions. You'll probably get sent it after this as well. It's one of the best sets of whiskey questions I've seen in an article. So we're going to kick off some of these questions with you. And we don't send them to guests on purpose, so you get a real response. What do you appreciate most in a whiskey?
Balance. So I don't like really fiery notes. I like it to be balanced, and I like it to have a really long finish.
Okay. What's up with that, Matt Bailey? What's your about?
That's a good answer because that's one we've heard. Is like it's one of those answers that it should be. It should just be balanced. I was also about another Proust. That's all right. All good.
All right, you got a question?
Can we hold on? If we don't tell the guest, can we at least tell the host so I can get these bloody questions up on the screen? Oh, right. There you go. That was what do you appreciate most in a whiskey?
Well, he's to the host then, Scotty.
Tell me. I'll get my typing fingers out. Let's go.
Okay, typing fingers out. This was from Kristy. Excluding your own, if you could work at one distillery, what would it be?
Edredale.
Oh, okay. That's a cool answer. Like, I want to know why Edredale, though.
Why?
Oh, I guess because I've met Andrew Symington and I just really like what he's doing, that he's brought it back into Scottish hands. Yep. So I would love to work there. I would love to work at Glenfiddich because it's a family-owned distillery and I think that is freaking awesome. I'd like to work at Cotswolds Distillery because I think they're really cool. I'd like to go to somewhere funky like Scandinavia somewhere and work in a distillery there.
You spent a bit of time over there, right?
I did. So I lived in Norway for a year as an exchange student back when I was 16. I wasn't drinking, but they do some really funky stuff over there. So that would be awesome to work there. I don't know. I picked more than one.
From High Coast in Sweden at the Society, and they've got some amazing spirit. And we had a chat with the founder, and it's Per, and yeah, just unbelievable stuff. And just the setup of that distillery is otherworldly. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's like really cool answer, and I love that it was instant. We've asked this question to the panel before, so I want to ask it again to see because they took forever to answer last time. So, not any distillery, Alex. If you'd love to work at a distillery, what distillery would you like to work at?
Any.
Okay, that's definitely not what I said. But if you had to pick one.
Oh shit.
You've answered this before, Alex. You have answered this before.
I loved Westwood when I was there because of the brewing culture, and that it's American single malt, and that they have.
Did you say Westland?
Westwood.
Oh.
Westwood. I loved them.
I do love Westland, yeah.
You love Westlands. I said Westwood.
I thought you said Westland. That's amazing. Sorry.
No, Westlands is amazing too.
Oh, yes, no, of course. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Bailey?
I've asked this before. I said something like Mortlach, only because no one in the world can really understand 2.81 times distilled, and I'd love to learn how it actually works, and just kind of like quirky kind of things like that in a distillery that is, again, mostly blending. But it's
which one?
Mortlach.
Which one?
You've probably not heard of it. It's a Diageo distillery. It's quite big.
I've been there.
Oh, so have I. It's great. I'm just saying it's like 2.81 times distilled. You don't want to wrap your head around that,
Yeah. What's
And
it
you,
next door
Scott?
to?
What's that?
What's it next door to?
I don't remember. That was the third distillery of the day, so I was probably right there. But go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, after you. I do remember drinking 54-year-old Mortlach straight from a cask.
Big, beautiful cemetery next door.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that. I just would have jumped in a car.
It's stunning. Yeah.
Dead people juice. No thanks.
Righto, Scotty.
Same answer as last time. I think it have to be a distillery that really encompasses sense and place, but not so much that you'd never be a local. So probably not an Isla distillery or a Campbelltown distillery, but I think something like Wolfburn, I still think, or
Big Daddy,
maybe Old Pulteney or something like that, like a little bit remote, so that when someone comes to your distillery, you welcome them to the town, not just to the distillery, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I will second that. When I was in Orkney, I was ready to just not catch my flight home and stay there. And the distillery manager at the time had a horse on the property, and I was like, right, that's it. I'm taking your job. I'm going to have the distillery, and I'll have my horse on the property, and that's me. I'm done. So Highland Park was just absolutely stunning. I love that old world, like the malting floors. It was just like cozy. It was cozy.
It was cozy.
So close. This is not a Prowse question, but I want to throw this to Alex just now. How many times have you heard your name called over airport PAs because you've waited slightly too long at a distillery to go home?
It's a crazy question to ask, actually, because I'm very punctual and on time, and I've never had my name called out at the airport.
Okay, I believe that.
I've only missed one flight, and I wasn't at the airport to hear my name called out.
You do nothing in halves, do you? If you don't miss it, you're going to miss it properly.
Miss it properly. Come on.
I was still in bed in the hotel room because it was a big Melbourne trip. Oops. Shall we move on?
Another Prowse question. I think this one, someone mentioned in the chat there that your answer being like almost reflex answers to these questions. But I don't know, like this one might be obvious, but we'll see how it goes. But what is your greatest achievement?
I guess building Killara up. I don't know. I've managed to keep my kids alive, so I think that's a pretty good achievement. I don't know. Winning the best Australasian whiskey and runner-up world whiskey from Dominic's Wizards of Whiskey Awards was pretty damn pleasing, I got to admit. So yeah, there are a few things.
Yeah.
We're like, more? Is there more? There is more. We know there's probably more.
But I feel like we're not asking for more. We're asking for the one. And I want to get back to your first thing you said. And shout out to Crafterfield who work at Tobermory and Gordon Adas who work at Yamazaki, if you could. You said building Killara. So in the Killara story so far, is it like acquiring land? Is it building a shed? Is it seeing the first spirit run off? Is it seeing the first whiskey go into bottle? What was the greatest achievement or the proudest achievement of the Killara journey so far?
I guess it's all of those things combined, but more so it's the fact that my whiskey is getting recognised and my products are getting recognised for me and not for my dad. So stepping out of my dad's shadow is hard and it's a slow process. but it's one that I feel that I'm now achieving, and not that I didn't feel I could stand on my own 2 feet. I've always felt that, but there's always been that almost unconscious comparison between me and Dad. And at times I feel it's a little unfair, but that's how it is. And so, yeah, my greatest achievement is stepping out of his shadow and into the light on my own.
Shine, baby, shine.
Excellent answer, I think. Excellent answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I am going to flick to probably my favourite question. Who is the
Thanks,
whiskey
Gary.
love? Who is the whiskey love of your life?
The whiskey love of my life is in a person in the industry.
It's an
But that's open-ended question.
open-ended question.
I don't know. I got to admit, I did have a bit of a fangirl crush on John from Tully Bardeen Distillery, so much so that we named our dog Tully after the distillery.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
isn't... No, sorry, I was thinking of T. Connell. Ignore me.
There,
I
there-
can think-
there can't be too many people who think that to reference Tullibardine in their whiskey loves. It's a beautiful distillery. I've been there once. It's fantastic, and the whole it's a weird distillery. I love it. It's like it's one of those distillers that tries to do everything. It's like it's the cooperage, it's a distillery, it's everything kind of place. Yeah, it's weird. That's cool.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a fangirl crush on him, but there's lots of people who I completely, utterly respect in the industry, but I don't know that I'm in love with any of them or love any of them.
That's how you interpret the question?
I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm tired. What day is it?
How's the hangover?
Oh, it's more so that I had only like 2.5 hours sleep. So that was the worst part.
All right, Matt, you got another question?
Yeah, I have one more. What is your happiest whiskey memory?
The Glenfiddich thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, right.
Just sitting up there with Ian, the manager, and my dad, and just sitting on top of the Solero vat, drinking it straight from the 1 litre plastic jug. That's got to be my best whiskey memory, I think.
I love that question.
Yeah.
It's got some of the best answers out of all of our guests. It's such a beautiful moment. I love that.
Yeah.
I have one more, and again, I'm on for whatever reason, on the prowl of inventing questions tonight. So you named a dog Tully, is that correct? Did I?
Yep.
Yeah. So okay, let's go. I'm happy to answer this one first. If you had to name your dog after a distillery, what would it be? And I'm going to go straight into the old Irish. And it wasn't a distillery as such, but it was a brand of Tir Connell, which is named after an old Irish racehorse. So if I had to name, if I got a dog this evening, it fell into my lap, I would name that dog Tir Connell. Bailey, if you got a dog fall in your lap tonight, what distillery would you name it after? And this is a different to the other question of what's your favorite distillery name, because you have to feed it, you have to tell it off.
You have to yell it across a park when the dog.
Okay, well, you know what? Okay,
Runs.
I've met like dogs and cats named Isla before and things like that. But if I was really naming it after the distillery, I would name my dog after Gartbreck Distillery, because A, I know no one else had yet, and B, it could just be shortened to Garty. Come here, Garty. Here, Garty. It'd be a Garty. There you go.
Garty, bloody piss off, Garty.
Garty. So it'd be a Garty. Yeah, it'd be a Gartbreck dog.
Within the Speakeasy group, we have two, Russ and Sven. Their dogs are Talisker and Oban. So
we just had James in the chat said he knew someone had Talisker. So unless it's the same person, that's 2 Taliskers we know.
But hilarious, Tally's hilarious because you walk into the place and Tally's quite old. But Tally just doesn't even lift his head anymore. He just is like, oh, yeah, you're walking in, just step over me. Like, it's just super cool and super chill. And Oban's this big, beautiful, young German Shepherd. So, yeah. I actually don't know the answer to this.
Well,
I don't know.
just to think
Sully's could work. Sully,
yeah.
Sully works.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my whiskey shelf over there.
I don't know. Sully kind of also reminds me of Monsters Inc. But
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite movie.
it's pretty cool.
I was about to rattle off a shitload of quotes from it, and then I was like, nope, Whiskey Roundtable. Stop that.
Wrong show.
Wrong show.
If Scotty can't get away with reeling off NRL scores, then you can't get away with Monsters quotes. Sorry.
any Pixar, I'm done.
After all directions this show's taken over the year and a bit, you draw the line at Monsters Inc. quotes? Like that's where the line is?
That's because I'm constantly drawing the line at your sport talk. I also didn't swear then, so I did really well. What was that? Ben covers multitude of sins.
Yeah, that's true. You got you.
Or Glenn.
Hold on. Why is someone said wolf burned? Because Jordan, that's a wolf. And it would have to be the smallest dog possible, like one of those remote control dogs that fits into like handbags.
This is quality content, ladies and gentlemen.
He's reached the tail end, definitely.
Yeah. All right. One more question, guys. Who wants it?
Well, it's Scotty's turn.
Yep.
No, it was just my turn then.
He went off tough with the Scott.
It's your turn, Alex.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
All right. All right. When do you lie about whiskey and you can't say you don't?
When do I lie?
I had it ready to go. I thought that was going to be the one you
Yeah, we don't want to. I don't lie about whiskey. That's not the answer.
I mean, Andy said that kind of in his response, and it was
Lie
bull.
about whiskey.
So, yeah.
If people ever ask me what my first whiskey experience is, I probably lie about that because I really honestly just can't remember. I feel like I should have some amazing story of, I tried this and it made me want to do this and rah, rah, rah. No, I don't remember.
See, I think that's one of the best answers that we've had so far, because the obvious ones for there is to go is like, when I tell my partner how much it costs and that sort of stuff. But that, I think that is a true Proust answer to that question.
Yeah, I can't remember. I love that. Well, my answer is always like, I lie to my bar managers when they're like, "Did you buy this whiskey?" No, it just showed up. Putting it back in in back office and putting it into cogs sneakily on a Monday, and then going, "What's wrong with your GP?" Whoopsie. That's when I lie about whiskey. Absolutely. What about you, Matt?
I think I have in the past about, especially if a distiller has given you something and you've gone, like they said that's some of their best work and it's just not very good, and you say, it's really good. You just say it's coming along nicely, and you have those moments sometimes, and it's like that's okay, that happens, but we
said that to me.
I have said that to you, have I?
So all the distillers out there, if Matt says it's coming along nicely, you know what that means now.
It's got room to improve.
All right, Scotty, you?
It would, yeah. Yeah, look, it's stand by. I phrase this correctly because the option is I'm a retailer. I sell whiskey, so of course I lie about all whiskeys. It's the greatest thing ever. It's all. There's no such thing. But I think there's certain an element of okay, and this one's going to be a little bit brutal. When I've been doing a few tastings in the past 12 months, and have been saying it is the most exciting time for whiskey in the history of whiskey globally, and I think that's a bit of a lie at the moment. I think 5-10 years ago was the most exciting time globally. I think it's the most exciting time in Australian whiskey. I think it's the most exciting time in a lot of countries, but globally, that, and to sort of put this into perspective and context. A lot of these conversations happen when people are going, "What should I buy now to, invest in? I can flip for 5 times the cost in 5 years' time." Where, like, if I tell you that's a good idea, then I'm lying to you. Unless, like, investing in whiskey to sell bottles in the future is a bad idea. If I've told you it's a good idea or that it's not a dumb idea, I've never told you it's a good idea. I've probably not said, it's not a dumb idea. It is. It's a dumb idea. So that's probably when I lie about whiskey.
Okay.
Fair shake.
Fair shake. All right. Well, we have taken an hour of this lovely lady's time who's had the most busiest day
It's all
today.
good. Like the kids are asleep, Joe's out. It's fine. I can talk for ages now.
Yeah, but we can get off camera and talk.
Oh.
All right. So, Pete, what's your next release?
So I've got Dark Mofo release coming up next month for obviously Dark Mofo. So bottles will be available during Dark Mofo, and then if any are left after that on the website and cellar door. If you're coming down to Winter Feast and Dark Mofo, I also have a barrel on the counter where you can have a dram straight from the barrel.
Oof.
Amazing.
Amazing. All right. And the website?
The website is being updated, but yes, it's KillaraDistillery.com. And
Awesome. and when you want to put whiskey on it, it's there.
yeah, so just check back periodically. But if there is anyone that is seriously after something, there's usually a couple of bottles kicking around in the cellar door for those that are at the cellar door, or contact me.
Wonderful. And are you taking bookings for the cellar door yet, or is it just a drop-in basis?
So the cellar door is open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then other times via appointment. I'm usually out there most of the time, being 24/7 usually. So if the gate's open, it means that I'm there, so you can come in.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
All right.
Kristy, thank you so much for the tonight. This has been great to catch up again and have you on Roundtable.
You're welcome. Can I just reply to this comment here from James? That they're very much against buyers grabbing multiple investment bottles. I 100% agree with that. Like, as a distiller, it sort of makes me a little bit sad that people are just keeping whiskey in cupboards or wherever they keep them and not enjoying them. I've spent all my blood, sweat and tears making this, what I think is a really great product, and I would love for you all to enjoy it. And sure, if you want to keep a bottle, why not? But for the most part, most products are made to be enjoyed, so enjoy them.
Absolutely.
You told me off for that last night, so yep.
As a retailer whose livelihood depends on selling bottles and not necessarily impacted about where they go, I'm a firm believer that if I got 12 bottles of something and I sell it to 2 people and they hoard them, I'm missing the opportunity for those 12 bottles to be open and shared with 10 potential people, and that grows this industry and keeps people happy. So, it is for sharing it. That's what it always was, and that's hopefully what it would be. And just to, clarify that investment stuff, unless that bottle at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve every year morphs into 2 bottles, it's not a good investment, because just like poppies and Pokemon cards before it, when people aren't interested, it'll crash. Admittedly, you'll still have some great whiskey to drink, but don't count on it. It's a very, very volatile market. And on that drastic bombshell, thank you, Kristy, so much for your time tonight. We're an hour late tonight. Thank you, everyone, for hanging around for it. To Alex, to Bailey. Where's Puddles? We're still not sure. Somewhere drinking bourbon, or the Pappy Van Winkles. But as we all know, all bourbon tastes the same. So why would you do that for? Yeah, there goes next year's.
John.
There goes next year's bourbon allocation. Thank you, everyone. We will be back we were taking a week off next week. We'll be back the week after with some special guests who I'm sure in a spreadsheet that I don't have access to.
We confirmed the wonderful Chewy or Stuart for the 19th of May. We confirmed him today, which is very exciting. Yes. Yep. And I've confirmed 3 more guests in 3 weeks. In a row, consecutive weeks. So we are all lined up with guests over the next couple. But very excited to have Chewy on, because I definitely want to talk to him about his transition from being in hospo and moving into distilleries.
Oh, that transition. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Alex, just before we let you go, just on guests, I saw you put out on Instagram maybe a week or 2 weeks ago a call out for Australia's biggest whiskey consumer, someone who love and consumes whiskey knowledge and passion that doesn't necessarily work in the industry. Have we got any results? Do we have any leads on that one?
You have no idea the response I had to that. I didn't want to post them because I didn't want to publicly name and shame. But there were so many that I got, and I've contacted a few of them. I've got it down to a bit of a short list, and then I think mid-June we'll be having our first whiskey fangirl or whiskey consumer on Whisky Roundtable to ask them all sorts of different questions, not just our Prouse, but hear it from the other side of the industry, which I think is going to be super fun.
Cool.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Very
Thank
cool.
you, everyone on the chat there, coming through thick and fast. A big shout out to Nick Sutton, who is our chat's Legend of the Week, an award I've just invented by buying both a bottle of gin and a bottle of whiskey while the chat was going on. So we had new segments with the photos. We've got new awards for the chat. We will see you in a fortnight.
And happy World Whiskey Day, everyone. Enjoy Saturday the 15th. I will be at Blackgate, and I hope to see as many of you there.
And I will
Come
be
say
having
hi.
And I'll be having a World Whiskey Day Eve event out at the Distillery. So we'll be having pizza van, hot toddies, whiskey. It would be fun. Bring your jacket.
Yeah, bring your jacket. All right, guys, have a great week or 2 weeks.
Bye.
Drink whiskey, be happy.
Yes.